So we're catching up with our British Columbia Football Conference, Where Are They Now? And we are with two former members of the Okanagan Sun, Scott Tallman with the hat, Dave Scherck without the hat.
Yeah.
Guys, so just for the people that don't know you, remind us when you played for the Sun. I know we're going back a few years.
Dave and I both played the same at the time, 92 through 97.
93 through 97.
93 through 97. I'm from Lethbridge. Yeah, I'm from Lethbridge. Went to high school at Catholic Central. And Dave?
Yeah, I grew up in Salmon Arm, played football in Vernon in the minor football league in Vernon. Got to play with my brother Stu Scherck for the first 2 years at the Sun, first 3 years, 93, 94, 95. Is he there in 95? I believe so. So that was 5 years with the Sun.
Yeah.
So just going back, Dave, the Sun are kind of in your backyard. Scott, not so much, obviously. Dave, how did you end up playing for the Sun? Was it a natural thing, just living in the area? Or?
It was. I'd always looked up to the Sun players as I was growing up through junior high school and high school, playing minor ball in Vernon, and obviously my brother taking that step, I kind of followed into his footsteps and wanted to play ball with him at the next level. So that's how I came down to Kelowna to try out for the Sun my first year.
Scott, what about you?
Well, for the Sun, initially I went to the Calgary Colts camp thinking that was our only option. And then Darren Bresden came through Lethbridge and recruited a few of us to come up to their spring camp. And as soon as we got here, we fell in love with it and knew this was the place we needed to be. You know, Okanagan, you can't beat it. So that's why I wanted to. I saw the dressing room and the tradition that we had here, and it was something special. So that's why I ended up here.
So it's 20 years.
Oh, God.
10 years past you played, sorry.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Where are you guys now?
Well, I live in Lethbridge. Moved back about 13 years ago. I work for an oil company called Tamarack Valley Energy. We're here at a hockey tournament this weekend watching my son Brody play. He's 15 years old. I have two daughters, Casey and Avery, 11 and 9 years old. Married for a little bit.
A while.
15, 14 years? 14 years.
Let's give your son Brody a bit of a plug.
Brody, he's pretty good little hockey player. He got drafted by the Portland Winterhawks this year. It's been a fun ride. It's definitely a lot of fun going from town to town watching him play, but yeah, it's good.
Dave,
I'm kind of in the same sort of position. I've been in Kelowna. I've stayed here, worked for the same company that I started for when I was playing football 20 years ago in Kelowna. I've got two children. My daughter's 12 and my son's just 9, turning 10 in December. And just living the family life, being a dad and chasing the kids around in their sports now.
Yeah.
It's just flashback to back when you played junior football. A couple teammates that you played with that stick out that are still close today.
Honestly, my two favorite players I ever played with were Stu and Dave Scherck. Like Dave's older brother, insane. I looked up to him like crazy, and it just was perfect that I ended up being best friends with his little brother. And Dave was probably the best running back to ever come through the Sun, in my opinion. I don't know what you're at.
That's a strong opinion. Well, I like both my tailbacks a little bit better than myself.
But you had a 5-year average of something crazy like 12 point some yards a carry for 5-year average. Like that's crazy. It's unheard of. And then obviously guys like Jermaine Haley and Terrence Houston and Ronnie Arnold and Ken Vermette and the list goes on of players that we played with that are crazy.
Yeah. So Scotty does a way better job of keeping up with other people that we used to play with, but everybody I played with that last 2 years, I still think of all those guys as family. I know I don't seek them out and maybe be as diligent as getting a hold of everybody and staying in touch with people as I should, but for our life, I'll always be connected to those people.
Every time you see them, it's like you haven't, it's always family.
It's a hard thing when you play for that long, and I think a lot of people in sports, when you're done that, to re-identify yourself. That's been your identity for so many years, and then when that stops, now we're all dads, and as Kenny say, wounded warriors from playing football for so many years. But I don't know. I do. Scotty's better at keeping up with other people, but like I said, they all mean so much to me. I think about those times on a daily basis.
Priceless part of our life. My life. Absolutely. Priceless part of my life.
Yeah.
So Scott, you stayed involved. You coached for a number of years with
Yeah.
the Sun.
Yeah, I stayed and I think I coached for about 6 years, went to a couple national championships, coached some really great players as well, and I loved it. And back when Brody was just a little guy, I used to bring him to practice all the time, and that was so much fun. But coaching isn't going anywhere. My kids I only have for so long, so I want to stay involved with them as long as I can, and eventually I'll get back on the field. I know I will, for sure.
And then Dave, you walked away from the football field. We don't really see at the Apple Bowl very much.
I took my son to a few games there a couple years ago. I'm trying to keep him away from the contact sports till he's a little bit older. So both my kids are playing soccer. I've coached soccer for 3 years, which is a little bit different than football. He did play flag for a while, so I think we will probably end up circling back into that sport eventually. It's tough with the son because I see all your pitchers and they want to sort of follow in your footsteps at a younger age, but I'm trying to sort of push him off till he's a little bit older, but we may end up being out on the pitch eventually.
Pitch.
The football pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about guys you played against. Names and stand-up guys you butted heads with that you didn't like or you did like and had respect for.
Jamie Borum, probably one for me, and Tyson St. James is another one back in the day. I remember having good battles with Jamie Borum when he played safety and I was playing fullback in 95, 96. I think he was still at the Air Force. That was one guy that sort of stuck out for me.
Yeah. And I always remember locking horns with Luke Atchison with Abbotsford. Me and him battled hard every time we played. We had each other's number. But some of the running backs and quarterbacks, I mean, they all come and go. It's for me, I didn't really care too much about them. It's the offensive linemen that I really had respect for and played against. You always come against good players, but some of the offensive linemen, Luke is the one that stands out for me because he's the only one that really gave me a huge challenge every time we played them.
Yeah, and going back to people that we played with that we respect, having Scott brought the O-line that we had our last 2 seasons in 96, 97 were incredible. There were a bunch of bats swinging mean dudes up on the front line, and the 2 tailbacks that I played with, Ronnie Arnold and Kenny Vermette, and obviously Terrence Houston too. It was just a ridiculous talent. All 3 of those guys for me were motivation and inspiring to me every time we were on the field together. So
Jason Claremont, we played against him, and he was a freak of nature. We're skipping over a lot of guys here.
Well, you're skipping ahead to my next question because I think it's a rhetorical one. One game that stands out.
The game.
In my minds.
It was the game.
Yeah,
I think that's the game that
for me were 2 games that were
playing at the Gordie Howe Bowl. That was the most intense football game I'd ever been a part of. And when we lost that game and watching that truck drive around that stadium with the flags and the horns and shit, pardon my language, but that really fueled all of us to have a good next year. And the next year we came out and the double overtime loss to Regina.
You're only as good as your last game, and unfortunately for us, that was the last taste in my mouth, and it still tastes like.
Me too. That broke me. That's when it broke. That's when it broke me too.
Yeah.
So just to refresh everybody's memories, if you didn't follow junior football, 1997 national championship at the Apple Bowl, 6,000 fans, an atmosphere like you haven't seen. Just to give it a bit of a commercial, I think you guys were down 17-0 or 17-3 at one point.
Yep.
Yeah, for the first half. Yeah.
17-0.
Tied it up. Went into overtime. Went into double overtime. A routine little under to Claremont. Went all the way down to the 5-yard line. Terrence finally hit him out of bounds. Then
it was
Ashman.
It was just a little cross up the middle there.
Yeah, little cross. Yeah, it was a second long. All we had to do was stop him, and the game was over because we were ahead at that point.
Yeah, we should have scored probably before that when we were down on their 5 or 7 yard line, and we had a 3-and-out down close. So I think that was on us probably that game, but yeah, it's still a tough one. Just for what we went through the last 2 years and the way the team progressed and sort of the feel we had with that group of people, we felt like that was really our day, and to have it sort of
at home,
it was all sort of came to that moment, and yeah, to have it not turn out the way you think it should have still kind of stings a little bit.
Honestly, to this day.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Honestly, it does.
But you can't do anything about it.
So let's I mean, that was a game that hurt, but that was for junior football. If every game could be like that, you'd be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about what junior football meant to both you guys. Now that looking back, how important was it in both your lives?
Lifelong friendships. That's the one thing. Like that, you know, when Dave says that it was something special, it was different than anything. You know, that you'd hope that people would be able to feel that at some point in their lives. Like it was something special that year. It was a good team and a great family. And
yeah, I think both 96 and 97, two different teams. Definitely sort of different atmosphere of the 2 years, but both just as special. Yeah, it was something else. I mean, we're so proud of those kids that went on after us, the younger guys below us, and I think they ended up winning the national championship in 2000.
2000.
Year 2000, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the younger guys that were below us that really took what we were trying to sort of instill culture-wise, and they took it to the next level and ended up winning the national championship. So for me, I mean, I watched that, I think, from a dark room somewhere by myself, but it was...
But I don't know about any other team that's played, but, like, that year, the season-ending standings were... We had 480 points for and 50 against. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a blowout every single game. We didn't have any competition.
No, yeah, and that may have been the issue in the last game.
Yeah.
Coming into it like that, but
Prairies are always strong.
96, 97, it was good times.
You see what junior football can do to somebody 20 years later. It's still resonating with these two guys.
Oh yeah, you're pissing us both off right now. You threw and Dave and I haven't seen each other in years, and now you're making us mad.
We're meeting these as a bit of a commercial for junior football, the British Columbia Football Conference. Just let's pretend that you're talking to. Dave, you're talking to a young kid from Saminar or Vernon, thinking about playing, in the Okanagan or somewhere else. Scott, you're in Lethbridge, and there's a young guy looking to come play in Kelowna or Langley or the Island. What would you guys say to a young player looking to make a move to BC?
For me, the culture, the Okanagan Sound culture, which I believe is still there. We still see a lot of the old guard involved in the program. It's second to none. Kelowna is a beautiful place to live, and just great people. I would never trade that for the world. It was the best times of my life.
And the fan support is insane.
The fan support's insane. The field's beautiful.
They make you feel like a big program. Like, it is it's the only show in town when it comes to something like that. And the fans really come out and they make you feel special.
A big part of the community for sure. The team is. I couldn't think of anywhere else I would have rather played in my time. And I think it's a great program. They're definitely going in the right direction.
And sending kids off to schools and down south and into the pro.
You get exposure as well.
It's tons of exposure. It's top-notch stuff, for sure.
I know Scott's itching to get back out on the ice to watch his boy in the last third period. Thanks for doing this, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Blake.